Ready to go.
Okay. Hello everybody and welcome back. Today we're working on this Echo SRM 225 weed eater. Now it's got all sorts of little issues. Now it'll run sometimes, but it doesn't run well and it's not very reliable. So we're going to go ahead and put a new carburetor on it because it's got the barrel carb, and that's one that you really don't want to play with unless you've done this a few times. It's easier to just throw a carburetor on it and be done with it. So all you new people out there, go ahead and subscribe. It's free and it's what we're working for. So let's get started. Now, if you've got one of these, it's really easy peasy to replace the carburetor on one of these. And in this case, I'm about 95% sure that'll take care of the problem. So we're going to grab our handy 225, or I'm sorry, our handy 27, and go ahead and pull the carburetor off. There we go. Let's get the air filter out of the way, or the air filter backing. Loosen that bolt just a touch, and this will pull right up. When you're taking that off, you see I turned it sideways to take it off, and it comes right off. Now here's the tricky part. When you're doing the fuel lines, loosen the gas cap first, or gas is going to come backwards at you. Now we'll take one off. Make notes of which line went where, because that's important later. It'll save you aggravation. Okay, when you're putting the new carburetor on, you'll note it came with a couple of gaskets. These gaskets both look pretty similar. And you might look at this and see this little hole here and say, oh, this is the right gasket for it. But if you look at it closely, that hole doesn't line up because it's for the other side of the carburetor or for another setup, but it will not work on this engine. This one, however, if you hold the gasket up to it, then your negative pressure pump hole does line up right there. And it's important because this little hole here corresponds with this side of the carburetor, and it allows pressure to go in and out, which causes a diaphragm to go back and forth, and that's what pumps fuel into your engine. So let's go ahead and get this set up. Let's grab our air cleaner and slide her back on. Let's get her back together. We'll do the linkage first. And you'll see you get that off to the side. She slides right on pretty easily. It usually does. Depends on how coordinated you are that day. There you go. We'll clip that back into place. Get that old beat up gasket out of the way. Now we'll slide it on and make sure you put your fuel lines on the same place they came off. Because if you get them backwards, it's not a big deal. You can just stop and switch them later. But then it'll try to pull fuel off the wrong line. Make sure we're on nice and tight, and we are. Let's get you back underneath in your little spot. And let's tighten her back up and see what we've got. Now let's take her outside and start her. And there we go. Takes it a second to warm up. This thing sounds terrible, but this thing is being used commercially, and there's a chance that the plug is completely fouled. Okay, that didn't take long. We got a new spark plug in her. So she should be still pretty warm because we were only stopped for about a minute. There we go. Now that did improve her some. Now I think she might be flooded a little bit from the old carburetor. So what we're going to do is put muffler straight down and run her wide open for a few seconds. Now we're going to go carburetor straight down and do the same thing. Okay, once we got the new plug in, she straightened up quite a bit. She sounds a whole lot better. And I tell people all the time, a bad carburetor can cause a machine to not run. A bad spark plug, the machine will usually run, but if the spark plug's no good, it won't necessarily run well. And in this case, we got it running with a bad plug in it, but then it ran a whole lot better once we put the new plug in it. So all you new people out there, go ahead and subscribe. It's free, and it really is what we're working for. You made it this far, you might as well. We'll see you next time.